So here we got Lowly Devastator. This guy is usually a pretty high-ranking player, well known for aggressive rush strategies. He has pretty much every good single-target tank buster here. So first man Akka makes sense to me. And he first picks Juggler, which is actually a Cav Juggler. If you use Cav Jugs, that means you are just pure rush player. And of course, being that he is a single target rush, he bans Landius first. So I actually first picked Ledin here. I figure as long as Ledin can take maybe 1 or 2 hits, that should do pretty good for me. So that's probably why he goes for the Lusty second pick. Ledin really doesn't do anything against assassin type units, although I would consider this one of Lusty's weaker maps. She can get a lot of range running across the mountains on the top, but if you try to walk across the bottom, you're a little bit safer from Alestriel. Although, of course, if you are like me and you don't have a lot of long leg characters to work with, she's pretty good at zoning you out still. So between Ledin being bad with assassins and him banning Liana second, my first bans here were actually focused on his assassins and his Curse of Wounding tank busters, which are Sonya and Brenda. So he of course decides to go instead for units like Deedlit, who of course, she's a great support unit. She can attack from long range, can avoid the counter from Ledin, and of course he has an origin buff from Juggler. And of course Yusuke, another character who can attack from range, and Claret, who can zone me out. Although he doesn't have a buff for Claret aside from Deedlit gospeling her. So like I said, my main goal here is hopefully that Ledin can tank at least 2 hits, because since he's single target, if I can waste enough of his attacks on just Ledin, that would hopefully give me the opportunity I need to shuffle my units up and take him out. Because I'm running with a very short leg team here, Yulia is probably the key player here. So of course right here, Juggler is the first to jump in. It's worth noting that he brought Lancer Soldiers, which limits his mobility to 3, but of course it's a good choice because I brought Unicorns on Yulia. Ledin is locked down now, and because he breezed with Alestriel earlier, he can take his pick of who he wants to kill. So I of course immediately put up Godly Menace. I failed to kill here, but it should make Yulia a little bit more difficult to deal with for him. He heals up a little bit using Deedlit, and this next move right here is probably the biggest mistake here I make. I get a bit too greedy and decide to kill Juggler with Matthew instead of shooting him with Chris. I mistakenly thought that Ledin at 90% HP was fine to take a hit, but of course Yusuke comes in and proves me wrong and just blows him up. I mean, what can I say? That is just pathetic. And keep in mind I cast Miracle the previous turn too. I mean, part of what happened here is the fact that the Redeemers are not at 100% HP, and Ledin still had a debuff on him. So if I had attacked with Chris, even if Ledin did not survive this hit, he would have been able to revive. So just a huge mistake on my part. If I had topped off Ledin with Chris and removed the water debuff, I think I would have been in a much better position here. But without Ledin around, Yusuke is just going to run wild and kill everybody. And of course Claret is also at the ready to come in and kill me. I mean, there's quite a few factors going into the fact that Ledin died here. Maybe if the Redeemers weren't broken, he might have survived the hit. For those of you who don't know, Redeemer's damage reduction actually doesn't work right now. They actually have no inbuilt damage reduction other than what they would get from Holy Light Protection, which of course applies to any Holy Troop. So they're actually really terrible at tanking stuff right now. But yeah, the rest of this match is just my guys getting picked off, so nothing much to say here. Ledin's still pretty bad at tanking. I should note that my Ledin is not weak at all. I actually have the #1 Ledin on Salarat's server, so you can still see him dying like a chump here. Don't rely on Ledin to eat too many hits for you. See you guys next time.